The name of this scientist looms in a halo of mysteries and contradictions, as if in a haze of fog. Myths and legends swarm around him, like elusive shadows of the past, and a wave of skepticism, like the surf, rolls over his legacy. Even today, the scientific community cannot come to a consensus. Was he a true genius of science, or is his figure just a clever illusion? What secrets, like treasures buried in the sands of time, does he hide from our sight? Scientist and inventor Nikola Tesla is called the Leonardo da Vinci of the 20th century. He is a legendary and multifaceted researcher who left a huge mark on world science. During his life, he gave birth to a huge number of mysteries and still unsolved questions. Tesla's ideas continue to be actively discussed and studied by both scientists within the walls of universities and institutes, and ordinary people who are interested in the figure of the Serbian genius. What secrets are shrouded around this legendary man? The key mystery associated with Tesla is his research in the field of wireless energy transmission. In the early 20th century, Tesla conducted a series of experiments demonstrating the possibility of transmitting energy without wires. He created a system that could transmit electrical energy over long distances using the principle of resonance. However, these studies remained unfinished, and to this day, not all the technical details of his method are known. This raises questions and debates among scientists who are currently researching the possibilities of wireless energy transmission. Another mystery associated with Tesla is his research in the field of free energy. Tesla believed that there is an inexhaustible source of energy in the nature around us that can be used to meet the needs of mankind. He conducted experiments using the Earth and atmosphere as conductors of energy and developed devices to collect this energy. However, his research in this area also remained poorly understood and has not received wide recognition from the scientific community. The third mystery is Tesla's work in the field of telepathy and telekinesis. Tesla claimed to have telepathic and telekinetic abilities and conducted experiments to prove his claims. He claimed to be able to transmit thoughts and control objects with his mind. However, these studies have not been scientifically proven and remain a mystery to this day. The fourth mystery associated with Tesla is his research into time and space. Tesla was interested in the possibility of time and space travel and conducted experiments to explore this topic. He developed devices that could create powerful electromagnetic fields and change the space-time structure. However, these studies also remained unfinished, and not all the details of his methods are known to this day. In addition, there is a theory that Tesla was facing unknown scientific and technological issues. One of the most notable evidence for this idea is Nikola Tesla's secret notes that were found after his death in his laboratory. However, some of these notes were lost and some were encrypted, leading to questions about what he was hiding. Also, many researchers like to talk about Tesla as a man of the future. He sincerely believed that his inventions and developments would help improve the quality of life of people and give them the opportunity to extract energy from the atmosphere. However, these ideas were too innovative and revolutionary for their time, and most of the scientific community had a negative attitude towards them. Perhaps with the hope that future technologies will open up other possibilities, scientists are still looking for answers to the mysteries of Nikola Tesla. Thus, Nikola Tesla is a legendary man whose talents and inventions remain with us to this day. The questions that he left unanswered are of interest and are still being studied by scientists from various fields. Perhaps in the future, answers to these mysteries will be found, and we will learn to use new technologies that will change the world. Maybe he was ahead of his time, and some of his developments will still be brought to mind by modern scientists. The name of Nikola Tesla seems to be shrouded in a fog of secrets, from which the outlines of myths and mysteries appear every now and then. Are these stories really just clever inventions, or are there echoes of some forgotten truths hidden behind their bizarre forms? This question, like an echo, continues to sound in the corridors of time. Let's look at the main ones. And the first on this list will be the story of the mysterious explosion that thundered on June 30th, 1908, in the area of Podkamenia Tunguska, which has been the subject of discussions among researchers for more than a century. Many versions of its origin have been put forward during this period, and one of them is associated with the name of the famous scientist Nikola Tesla. Early in the morning of June 30th, 1908, a large fireball appeared in the sky near the village of Vanavara, which swept over the Yenisei from the southeast to the northwest. The flight was followed by a deafening explosion. Trees felled over an area of more than 2,000 kilometers. Observatories around the world recorded a powerful blast wave that blew out windows in houses hundreds of kilometers from the epicenter. The most common version of the nature of the explosion today is the fall of a meteorite. However, no meteorite fragments were found. What relation could physicist Nikola Tesla have to this event? Firstly, his experiments took place at about the same time. Secondly, the explosion was very powerful, and Tesla, like us, worked with enormous energy. Let's add to this the strange light effects and sounds, which, according to scientists, indicate the electromagnetic nature of the explosion. And of course, we cannot forget about the Wardenclyffe Tower. From there, they say, it hit Siberia. In the spring of 1908, Tesla wrote to the editor of the New York Times, "Even now, my wireless power installations can make any area of the globe uninhabitable." On the night of June 30th, unusual silvery pulsating clouds were seen over Canada and northern Europe. A similar phenomenon was observed during Tesla's laboratory experiments in Colorado Springs. Could Tesla be the real culprit of the Tunguska catastrophe? Maybe the meteorite fall had nothing to do with it. In any case, such a version has a right to exist. Strange signals that no one expected. And what does Nikola Tesla have to do with space? At the beginning of the 20th century, when radio communication was taking its first steps, Tesla, fascinated by the idea of wireless energy transmission, experimented with powerful transmitters. And so, in 1899, while working in his laboratory in Colorado Springs, he announced that he had recorded strange, repeating signals. He was convinced that these impulses were not of earthly origin. "I shall never forget the first sensations I experienced when I realized that I was observing something that might have great significance. It soon became obvious to me that I was hearing signals from another planet," he wrote later. Tesla was not the only one who picked up such signals. Other scientists of the time also reported similar phenomena, but most of them attributed them to atmospheric interference or instrument errors. However, Tesla was sure that his receiver was tuned accurately and was picking up something extraterrestrial. Why Mars? At that time, this planet was a popular topic of discussion, and many scientists believed in the possibility of life there. Tesla, being a man with a rich imagination, also admitted this possibility. He believed that if there were intelligent beings on Mars, they could try to establish communication with other worlds, including Earth. Was it radio interference or something more? Of course, the skeptics were quite categorical. Most people believed that Tesla mistook the Martian signals for ordinary atmospheric or technical interference. Critics pointed out that radio communications were not yet developed at the time and false signals were common. And yet, the fact remains. Tesla was convinced that he was receiving signals from another planet. His diaries and notes contain many references to these mysterious impulses. He even developed special equipment to amplify and decipher them. Philadelphia Project. Surprised? How about this? In 1943, at the height of World War II, the U.S. Navy was desperately looking for a way to gain a military advantage. The idea was to make ships invisible to enemy radar. And then, according to the myth, Nikola Tesla and his team entered the scene. With his deep knowledge of electromagnetism, he proposed something beyond the ordinary. Not camouflage, but a distortion of reality itself. The experiment allegedly involved creating a powerful electromagnetic field around the ship that would bend space-time in such a way as to make it invisible. The destroyer Eldridge was chosen as a guinea pig, so to speak. When the generators built according to Tesla's designs were activated, the ship was enveloped in a strange glow and disappeared. Not just from radar, but from our dimension itself. Then, for a brief moment, it allegedly appeared in Norfolk before returning to Philadelphia again. But chaos followed this apparent triumph. The ship's crew faced the terrible consequences of exposure to the electromagnetic field. People's minds were distorted. Some literally merged with the metal of the ship, and some simply disappeared, as if dissolving in time and space. The technology intended to protect turned into a nightmare. That's when it became clear. We are playing with forces we do not understand, and the consequences can be catastrophic. After this event, Project Rainbow was immediately shut down and all evidence was classified. The story only came out in bits and pieces of rumor, giving rise to numerous theories and speculations. Whether this is true or not is hard to say, but it is this mystery that makes the legend of the Philadelphia experiment so compelling. The story is a grim warning that science can sometimes go too far, and that genius, unleashed from a bottle, can cause not only good but also monstrous destruction. And if there is a moral to this myth, it is that sometimes it is better to leave a mystery unsolved. Was he really a scientist? Nikola Tesla is a controversial figure. He is often presented as a brilliant scientist ahead of his time. However, if we put aside the myths and legends, it becomes clear that his path to fame was more the path of a talented inventor practitioner than a strict scientist researcher. The lack of an academic education and a doctorate in itself calls into question his status in the scientific community. Tesla undoubtedly had outstanding engineering skills and intuition. He created many inventions that are still used today. However, his tendency to exaggerate his own achievements and promise unrealistic technologies speaks of something else, of an irrepressible imagination, sometimes prevailing over a rational approach. His grandiose statements about wireless energy transmission over huge distances, for example, remained unrealized, once again confirming this. Many of his projects remained unfinished, not brought to the stage of practical application. This not only speaks to the difficulties in implementing his ideas, but also points to the lack of a systematic scientific approach. Scientists publish their work, subjecting it to scientific examination. Tesla, on the other hand, preferred to keep his discoveries secret, not publishing them in peer-reviewed scientific journals, which significantly reduces the value of his scientific contribution. Another aspect that casts doubt on Tesla's strict scientific approach is his interest in mysticism and paranormal phenomena. This aspect of his personality, although interesting from a biographical point of view, nevertheless contradicts the standards accepted in the scientific world. His statements, often based on intuition and assumptions, did not always correspond to scientific facts. Conclusion. In conclusion, Tesla's contribution to the development of science and technology cannot be denied. His inventions undoubtedly became an important stage in the history of electrical engineering. However, it would be wrong to call him exclusively a scientist. He was rather a brilliant inventor practitioner and a talented dreamer whose fantasies were ahead of the capabilities of science of his time, and this image perhaps more accurately reflects his true essence. So who was the famous Nikola Tesla? A genius? A great scientist, or just an outstanding engineer? Share your opinion in the comments.